know I'm supposed to be avoiding sugar, but this is dark chocolate. So it has very little sugar, and studies have shown that dark chocolate is actually good for your brain and your whole body. And it's so good. Oh, you want some? Well, I'll show you how to make this. I made this myself. It doesn't take much, just a heating element or a stove. You'll need some pots and a couple mixing bowls, some spatulas, a cookie sheet with wax paper or parchment paper. And then for your ingredients, you're gonna want heavy cream, you're gonna want corn syrup, you're gonna want 3 tablespoons of butter, and chocolate chips. You want dark chocolate chips. I like to use the 62% cocoa. And so it's nice and dark. You can do lighter, but it's gonna have more sugar in it. And if you want to go darker, that's always good too. I really love dark chocolate, so this is a win. Besides, it's nice and rich, so a little goes a long way. So, how do you make your own chocolate truffles? You start with a chocolate ganache, which is a creamy, velvety chocolate filling that just melts in your mouth. You're going to make this with the heavy cream and the corn syrup by heating up the corn syrup and heavy cream in a saucepan, a small one here. And then you're going to take your chocolate, the other element, and put it in a bowl with your butter. Then you're gonna pop that in the microwave and heat it up to just get it started for about 30 seconds. You're going to do that and just get it primed and ready to go. So let's say I've done that. Then you're going to take your cream and pour it in here, covering the whole mixture. Again, we're doing half a cup of the heavy cream with a tablespoon of the corn syrup, 3 tablespoons of the butter, and 10 ounces of dark chocolate. So we're gonna let that sit, and it needs to get to know each other because they're going to get married and emulsify, which means the molecules are going to bind together to make that nice, creamy, velvety mixture. And so it needs to sit there and kind of get to know each other for about 1 to 5 minutes before you stir it. So let's say we've let that happen. You end up with this beautiful mixture right here. Look at that and how it's kind of fudge-like, kind of pudding-like in consistency. Once you have this consistency, you're going to add your flavoring. So for flavoring, you can use different kinds of extract. For today, because I'm making these for my sister's birthday and she loves coffee, we're gonna do an espresso flavored chocolate ganache. So I would pick up this espresso powder that's an instant espresso in these sleeves. I take 1 sleeve and I mix it with just a small amount of hot water, and then I'm gonna use a tablespoon of that. And that's our flavoring. So here we have the tablespoon of espresso flavoring, and give that a really good stir until that's incorporated with the mixture. And then you're gonna put that in your freezer for half hour to about 2 hours to be able to chill. It needs to be able to then become mostly solid, kind of fudgy, so that it's malleable, but you can shape it. That's the next step, is shaping. So now that we've got our ganache made, we're gonna put this in the freezer. So it smells delicious, by the way. Once we take it out of the freezer, it's gonna look like this. I've taken this ganache and frozen it for a couple hours, And then I'm gonna take a melon baller, which they're really handy for this, but you can use a spoon if you need to. It's just gonna be much easier to do it this way. You're basically gonna scoop it like ice cream and make a nice little ball. You want to make a nice little 1 inch or so in diameter ball, and then to pry it out you use a little spoon like this, and you've got your general shape. Then you just take your hands and shape it like clay. It's kind of a clay consistency. It's gonna start getting melty very quickly though, as you see it's coming off of my palms. So be quick about it, and it doesn't need to be perfect. You're gonna end up with little balls like this. So they're not all perfect, they're different kind of shapes, but they're about the same size. And so that's kind of the important part. But they all will be a little unique, that's fun of it, right? So once you have this, you wanna throw it back in the freezer for a little bit to chill, and so that they're easy to work with. You want things that are gonna be malleable but easy to work with. And then at this point, we just need to coat it in more chocolate, and then they'll be ready to go. Now there's 2 different ways that you could do this. The more traditional and easy way is to just coat it in cocoa powder. So you take Dutch cocoa powder, put it in a bowl, take your chocolate, drop it in, and roll it around. And there you have it. Now this is where they get the name truffle anyways, because truffles are actually mushroom that is covered in dirt that pigs actually dig up, and they're really expensive and gourmet. But chocolates, when they made it this way, they looked like those truffles, and so it's supposed to be kind of misshapen and dirty looking. That's your classic truffle. Now with these, because the ganache is soft, they need to be kept in the fridge. And so you need to keep them, store them in the fridge, eat them wherever you want, but they'll coat your fingers in that little bit of cocoa powder and be a little messier. So I like to coat mine in a tempered chocolate and make a nice snappy hard shell finish. It's really neat, but it takes a little more technique. I'll walk you through it though, and you can try it out on your free time. If you really enjoy cooking in the kitchen, I suggest you try this out, and you can get quite good at it. Basically, what you're going to do is take another bag of chocolate, put it in a double boiler, which is a mixing bowl like this, that you put over a saucepan that has about 2 to 4 inches of water that's been simmering at the bottom. You're gonna heat up your chocolate in this. You never wanna heat up chocolate on direct heat. You can do this method in the microwave too, by melting it for 20 seconds at a time, stirring, melting, stirring. But I like this way because sometimes it'll get too hot, sometimes too cold, so you can kind of move it back and forth on and off of the saucepan itself to keep the right temperature. Because it's a real Goldilocks situation here, where if you get the temperature up too high, the chocolate, the structure of it will change and it will become more tacky, and it won't give you that nice hard shell finish. But if it's not hot enough, then it's gonna be gummy and hard to work with. So it's getting the temperature just right. So when you have your chocolate melted, you'll be stirring it constantly to get that consistency right. And you see this in those Lindor commercials. This is actually so that the chocolate can cool off quickly and maintain temperature by running it through the cold air. And when you see ribbons like this in the bowl, if you can see it, you know it's tempered just right, and it's ready for coating your ganache truffles. I'm so excited. All right, let's do it. So what you want to do is take an ice cream scoop and another spoon and take a little bit of the chocolate that's tempered and scoop it in there. So now you have this nice little well here, and you have a spoon that's you're gonna use to turn it. You take your chocolate and you plop it in there, sinking down and then turn it over so it covers it. So this is basically what you're doing, is kind of spinning it around in there. And you want to do this relatively fast, and then drop it on your parchment paper. So there's your parchment paper here. You've dropped it down, and then just make sure that you covered the whole thing, and it gives it, there's this little swirl there. Very pretty. Once you've done that, you can then garnish them to tell them apart. If you're doing different flavors, if you're doing a lot of them, like for Christmas, you can take coffee bean, plop it in there while it's still drying, and it gives it a nice little garnish, and you know, oh, that's an espresso one versus a peppermint one. You can garnish with a little peppermint stick, or you can do an orange one with a little piece of candied orange on top. You can get creative with it. It's a lot of fun. So there you have it. That's the finished product, and you come out with this beautiful chocolate truffle that is just to die for. I have enjoyed making these for my friends and family, and enjoyed them myself. They're a lot of fun to make, and they take up some time, but we all have a little bit more time right now, and it's fun to make or learn new skills. And this is, like I said, something that's actually not that bad for you. It's really enjoyable, and I hope that you soon will enjoy your own chocolate truffles. I'm sorry I can't bring some to you, but you make your own and tell me how it works out, okay? Thanks.